Hi there. In this episode, we'll be covering the best way to preserve your family story. It is so special when we can document our family story. Each of us has a story within us from our ancestors on forward, where relatives came from, what they accomplished, the struggles, the ups and downs, and ultimately the successes that they experienced. By the end of this video, you will learn the power and limitations of mediums like video, the importance of research and context, and why books and writing are timeless. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. It's interesting to think about generations past and the way that we kept things. Looking through photo albums of family memories and recognizing that people don't really have photo albums these days. They have, scrolling on their phone, which is different. It's a different experience. Yes, it's nice to have video there, but it's also limiting in a way because it's less that we're preserving in a way. It's just, on the cloud somewhere. I don't know. There's so much that we can gain and gather from remembering and celebrating our family history. You think back to video cameras and from generations past. Think about all those videos that your relatives may have filmed from decades ago, different formats like VHS. I have a VHS player at home. I don't use it that much. Do you have a VHS player at home? And yet that was the format that people used for videos for a long time. So it's this balancing act of different technology, different ways of bringing those things forward, audio recordings, micro cassette tapes. There's so many pieces and so many different ways to go about preserving these things. It's just a struggle sometimes, How do you capture and keep video? Where do you put it? It's not like we have that photo album for video. It's not an easy thing to put a video somewhere. You can put it in Dropbox. You can put it on a disk. You can put it on a file somewhere. But it just kind of lives, on a computer or a device. It's not the same thing. So it's a balancing act when we think about all these different mediums and opportunities, As a book ghostwriter, I've worked with different families on telling their stories. And I think back to one family in particular that had the wherewithal to start filming videos and interviews early on. I was talking almost 10 years ago, even before I started working with them. They wanted to document their family story, and they filmed all these videos. They sat people down, they interviewed them, and there was power to that. At the same time, years later, they said, we need to put this in the book form because this video isn't enough. There's more to it than this. They actually had a professional video done and said, we need a book because the video's not cutting it. There's limitations to it. It's not easy to hand somebody a video and say, hey, great, check this out. But there's so much power in a book. There's timeless energy behind the book, which is what makes it so special. There's more to it than just documenting because documenting just based on memory, and there's so much context that we can bring, clues that we can bring, research that's available to us today that helps fill in the gaps. Think about ancestry.com and newspapers.com. These websites are amazing. I visit them weekly, if not daily. There's so much information we can gather from the clues that are out there. On Ancestry, you can look at residency records, census records. We can check out where people lived, but then there's filling in the gaps. It's not just where they lived, it's when the time period was there neighborhoods that they lived in that were based on different heritages and cultures? What was the demographics of the place where they lived? Were they insiders, outsiders? Were they rich? Were they poor? There's so many things that we can learn just from the information that's out there. Now, I was researching this same family history, and we were looking at where their relatives lived in the early 1900s. And they lived in northern New Jersey. And I was looking on a map and I was seeing some of the cross streets. And I was like, that's interesting. One of the cross streets was named Alva, Thomas Alva Edison. And Edison had a factory that was literally 2 blocks away from where this family lived, which told me so much about the way that they lived. They were immigrants coming to America. They didn't have a lot of money. They were struggling to get by. And they were living in this place of environmental destruction in a way, right in the backyard of scientific factories. There's this balancing act of, invention and creation and also environmental issues, and people were dealing with the blowback from that. So there's this balancing act. And learning that little detail from one map told me so much about who they were at that time. And then you look at the newspaper clippings, and you look at census records and death records, and you look at all these different things, and they piece together this mosaic. It's not like one answer is present in one place. Even the interviews you do aren't going to give you all the answers. It's about piecing everything together. And it's so special when that can happen. There's an important saying that comes with documentation. People lie, records don't. It's so crucial when you're digging into family records to document and get the paper trail. It's one thing for somebody to say it, but how does it back up? And I think it actually adds credibility when you can look at what somebody said and then, fill in the gaps and recognize they're telling the truth. They were 100% right or 90% right. They were almost there. It gives credibility to their stories when the stories are backed up by fact, not just, here's my opinion, here's what I believed at the time. But being able to dig deeper and connect all those pieces is meaningful to the process, and it makes for a better story. When you're thinking about, putting this story into book form of your family, the documentation helps to fill in the gaps, because the opinions and insights, we're all biased. We all have different lenses through which we see the world. Our biases get in the way sometimes, or it forces us to see things differently. The documentation helps to fill in the gaps. When I think about books, that's my career. I focus on writing books for people. Books are awesome because they allow you to pass it down from one generation to the next. That this is an easy way to pass along heritage, information, fact. It's a lot easier to get a lot of information, dense information into a book instead of a video. Video is tough. I've done documentaries. Video is tough. You might only get X amount of time. If it's a 45-minute or hour-long video, a couple thousand words, whereas a couple thousand words is a chapter in a book. So the depth is different, when you think about commemorating your family story. Finding the right medium matters, but the written word, there's something magical about it. And it's inspiring for me to think about the fact that I'm reading words that people have written hundreds, 100, 200 years ago, and that 100 or 200 years from now, people could be reading things that I wrote or other people wrote. Like, it's inspiring that is passed down, and that's the medium. That's the medium, and obviously technology changes and evolves, but books are timeless. So if you're thinking about documenting a family story, books are a great way to go. If you want to learn more about the best way to preserve your family story, I'd love for you to check out my website. It's writeagoodbook.com. There you can get tips from me, sign up for my emails. You can even book a strategy call with me so we can talk further about your story, your message, your lineage, and the kind of story that you want to tell. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.